All right, folks, buckle up because today we're diving into a story that's equal parts shocking, heartbreaking, and, dare I say, infuriating. This is natural news, and I'm here to bring you the kind of reporting that doesn't just scratch the surface, it digs deep. And today, we're talking about something that's been described as a modern-day gulag system right here in the United States. Yes, you heard that right. The land of the free and the home of the brave is being accused of something that feels like it's straight out of Soviet-era Russia. I'm talking about the treatment of the January 6th prisoners, over 300 individuals arrested in connection with the Capitol protest, and the secret mission to rescue them, restore their lives, and hold the system accountable. This is a story you need to hear. Let's start with the basics. Over 300 people, many of whom were charged with nonviolent offenses, are scattered across 75 federal prisons in 35 states. Think about that for a second. These individuals are often hundreds, if not thousands, of miles away from their families. Critics are calling this a deliberate strategy to isolate them, to break them, and to punish them in ways that go far beyond the legal system. Gary Heavin, a Texas-based entrepreneur and founder of the American Patriot Relief Freedom's Ambassadors Project, has been on the front lines of this fight. In a recent interview with Mike Adams of BrightLearn.com, Heavin didn't hold back. He described the conditions these prisoners are facing as nothing short of brutal. Solitary confinement for weeks on end, denied due process, tens of thousands of hours of video evidence allegedly withheld from their defense lawyers. Heavin didn't mince words. He called this a Soviet-style concentration camp operating on American soil. Let that sink in. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But they broke the law, right? Shouldn't they face consequences? Sure, but here's the thing. Even if you believe these individuals should be held accountable, the way this is being handled raises serious red flags. Families are being torn apart. People are losing their homes, their jobs, their livelihoods. And for what? Many of these folks were simply exercising their First Amendment rights. They were protesting what they believed was a stolen election. Whether you agree with their actions or not, the punishment here seems wildly disproportionate to the alleged crimes. And that's where Gary Heavin and his team come in. Heavin has launched what he's calling Operation Airlift. This is a full-scale mission to rescue these prisoners the moment they're released. And yes, there are rumors swirling that President Donald Trump may pardon them on Inauguration Day. If that happens, Heavin and his team are ready. They've got over 100 ambassadors positioned at all 75 prisons where these individuals are being held. These ambassadors will be there to greet the prisoners as they're released, to make sure they're warm, fed, and reconnected with their families. And for those who are far from home, Heavin has mobilized a fleet of private jets, over a dozen of them, to transport these individuals safely and with dignity. This isn't just about getting them out of prison. It's about restoring their humanity. But here's the kicker. For many of these prisoners, the challenges won't end when they walk out of those prison doors. Some have lost everything. Their homes, their jobs, even their families. That's why Heavin has gone a step further. He's established transitional homes in Texas, Missouri, and other locations. These aren't just shelters. They're places where these individuals can find counseling, spiritual support, and a chance to rebuild their lives. Heavin has even built 12 brand-new one-bedroom homes on his property in Waco, and he's working closely with churches, particularly the Orthodox Church, to provide the kind of care and support these individuals desperately need. This isn't just about freedom, it's about healing. Now let's talk about justice, because freedom alone isn't enough. Both Heavin and Mike Adams are calling for full exoneration, expungement of these individuals' records, and substantial compensation from the federal government. And we're not talking about a slap on the wrist and a sorry about that. Adams suggested that each prisoner should receive $50 million after taxes. Heavin echoed this sentiment, arguing that these individuals should receive federal pensions for the rest of their lives. This isn't just about making them whole. It's about sending a message that this kind of abuse of power will not be tolerated. And here's where things get really interesting. The fate of these J6 prisoners has become a litmus test for the Trump administration. Heavin believes that Trump's decision to pardon them will determine whether he can deliver on his promises of restoring justice and accountability. Adams put it bluntly, this is the moral test of the Trump administration. Heavin went even further, calling it the litmus test of the entire Trump administration. If Trump sets these people free, no conditions, expunges their records, and ensures they get their lives back, he will have kept his first promise. If he doesn't, well, let's just say the future is going to be very concerning. This isn't just about the J6 prisoners. This is about something much bigger. It's about the rule of law. It's about holding corrupt institutions accountable. It's about reclaiming the principles this country was founded on. Heavin and Adams see this as the beginning of a peaceful revolution, a movement to say, enough is enough. The American people have been lied to, abused, and betrayed by almost every institution in this country. And they're not going to tolerate their fellow citizens being thrown into a gulag. So, where does this leave us? The J6 prisoner crisis has become a rallying cry. It's a story that's shining a light on the cracks in our system. It's a story that's forcing us to ask hard questions about justice, accountability, and the kind of country we want to live in. Whether this movement will lead to lasting change or serve as a warning of darker times ahead remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. For the J6 prisoners and their supporters, the fight for justice is far from over. And that's the story, folks. A story of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refuse to back down. This is Natural News, and I'll be keeping a close eye on this as it unfolds. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged. Because the fight for justice isn't just their fight, it's ours too. Until next time, this is Natural News, signing off.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Gary Heavin and Mike Adams on January 17th, 2025. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.